And this is, the evening will be different as we are making, this is different because we're making up for last week. So we're gonna have two meetings here. We'll first hold all our committee meetings, gonna be first, all of them. After a brief break, we will have a regular legislative meeting. And this will get us back on our cycle. So we're gonna have to have both of them today and all like that. And we would like to welcome Mr. Dallas Moore to the Barberton City Council representing Ward 3. Before starting tonight's meeting, please assure that your desk microphone is on and you are speaking directly into the microphone. And please make sure your cell phones are off or on silent. So we're going to start off with our committee meetings. And we're going to start off with streets and lighting with Mrs. Hager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Street, sidewalk, and lighting, meeting in council chambers this evening, February 2nd at 6 o'clock. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chairman, Monty Hurst as co-chair, and Emily Beck, as well as other council members and guests as noted on my sheet. We have no requests for legislation at this time. We do have pending legislation, ordinance number 10/2026, titled 2026 Street Road Salt Program, and ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contract with Cargill Incorporated for the 2026 Street/Road Salt Program through the Community University Educational Regional Purchasing Council of Governments and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 11/2026, presented by Mr. Stoll and myself, titled 2026 Bids and Contracts, Years Requirements for Materials and Services, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids and or enter into contracts in 2026, covering the year's requirements for materials and services used in the ordinary and daily operations of the municipal departments in the city of Barberton and declaring an emergency. The final ordinance, number 12/2026, was to enter into a contract with GPD Group. That ordinance is being withdrawn as it was realized that the contract goes through the end of this year, so I am making a motion to withdraw that piece of legislation. Do I have a second?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. That motion is withdrawn. Is there any miscellaneous discussion from my committee? Yes.
Have our lights come in on for Second Street?
Oh, yes.
I can find out and get back to you.
Cool, thank you.
I'm not aware of it, so,
And thank you for the cutout report.
yep,
Yes.
Today, will you send that?
I sent it this morning, yeah.
Yes.
And like I said, any kind of feedback you guys have to improve it, make it better, if you wanna see it being a total run-on list, or if you would like to see them as they repair them 2 weeks after the repair, you want it removed, like, we can kind of play around with it, and just see what your guys' preferences are. I mean, as it
could get
gets
very long.
longer, we can decide.
Well, I think Ward 6 would probably be the worst.
If you'd like to see it, organized differently in wards, or, 'cause right now it's by date.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I think as it gets longer, I would prefer it to be by ward. I had to like kind of pick through
okay.
and highlight.
We could color code the word.
I was gonna say, maybe even if there's a column that indicates what ward it's in.
Yeah, either way,
Yeah, that'd be good.
something like that.
Okay.
Can you explain to everybody, like, I know 31st Street, just north of Wilson Way, that water main's been leaking for at least a week. Can you explain what's going on, so everybody knows?
So, I mean, with that, so some of them are challenging. So as Monty and I were kind of talking before the meeting started, they're reporting to me that the frost is anywhere from 24 plus inches deep in the road. So what happens is, a little bit of science here, so when we actually throw the salt on the road, salt lowers the freezing temperature of water. So by lowering the freezing temperature of water, what it does is it actually pushes that frost deeper into the road. So if we leave the snow on the road, it actually insulates. So like you might be able to dig in your front yard and get down, and it might only be 6 to 8 inches deep of frost. But since we remove all the snow, apply salt, it drives the frost deeper into the road. So anytime you have a water main that's in the road, what happens is the water comes up, hits the bottom of the frost now instead of the bottom of the road, and then travels the path of least resistance. So sometimes it takes them, they may dig a 10 or a 20-foot long hole before they even find the leak. So sometimes they will allow them, again, not the best practice because we're losing water, but you let the leak get worse because a leak's never gonna get better, and then we have equipment that you can kind of ground sound and find it. Some of those leaks though, when they're tricklers, they start building up ice, and then like Monty said, we have to go out and combat the ice now. But it's a process that they're aware of. Most of the leaks like that have been going for more than a day or two, they might be catching up somewhere else, and then they'll be there to fix them. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything from the gallery? Okay. With nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
A second?
I'll second.
And with that, we are adjourned at 6:07.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Environmental Health and Social Services, Julie Miller.
Well, present at 6:07 PM is my full committee, Brian Poorman, Dallas Moore, and we really have no further business at this time. So, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Planning, Annexation, and Codes, Emily Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to call the Planning, Annexation, and Codes meeting to order. Today is Monday, February 2nd, 2026 at 6:07 PM. Myself and all others in the committee are present, as well as the rest of council and guests as noted on my sheet. Tonight, we have one piece of legislation to consider. A letter from Mayor William Judge requesting legislation to authorize him to enter into a community reinvestment area, a CRA, agreement with Barberton Works grant agreement with Straight and Lamp Lumber Company. Emergency wording requested. Please see request for supporting documentation. It is two separate pieces of legislation, one for the CRA and then one for the Barberton Works grant agreement. And tonight, we have Mr. Dodson here to tell us a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Jason Dodson with Rutzell and Andrus. For the newer council members, we assist with economic development related legal matters and a lot of kind of the financial side of the economic development incentives here within the city. And so this project is over at 250 South Van Buren. There are two parcels there that the Straight and Lumber Company, I was gonna tell you, was looking to purchase. My understanding is a little bit more than a week ago, they have actually purchased each of those two parcels. The property is currently vacant. Straight and Lumber Company is a construction supply warehouse, I think primarily wood-related projects throughout other parts of Ohio. I don't believe we have any here locally. I've never heard of them. They were looking at potentially acquiring a facility over in Wadsworth. That project or that facility purchase did not they did not follow through with that. they identified this property and have been talking with the city now going back to November about the purchase and the opening up of a location here. They would create 23 jobs at this location. And if you give me a minute here, I will pull up the other finances, the other financial information related to it. I think it was $2.3 million is what the amount of the new payroll will be. Sorry. I think it's 2.3 million is the new payroll. I think jobs are going to be averaging $29.65 an hour. They are going to hire progressively over the next 3 years, six employees this year, 14 in year 2, so in 2027, and then 3 more in 2028. They plan to do a $900,000 addition to the existing buildings, build $450,000 worth of additions, and do about actually almost $2.5 million in machinery, equipment, furniture, and fixtures there at the property. And I do apologize, I thought I had that exact payroll number at the 2.3 million, if any, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's 2.3. In any event, as part of the discussions with the businesses, they were looking at the property, they talked to the mayor's office about potential incentives in order to be able to go to locate there. So we have offered 2 different incentives under 2 different programs, one of which is a local program and then one of which is a state program. So the local program is what you all call the Barberton Works program, and that is a grant where a certain percentage of the income tax gets granted back to the business. And so they come in, they pay, I think it's 2.25% income tax here in the city, and then a percentage, depending on the number of jobs and the amount of payroll they create, it can be granted back to that business, provided that they actually create the jobs they're supposed to create. And so the Barberton Works agreement would allow that to happen. The payment, or those jobs would be, again, created on that schedule that we talked about earlier today. And I apologize, because normally I have paper with me to read off of. And they come from another
Do you
meeting
want
here.
like 6 in year 1, 14
Yeah,
in
it's the
2,
6, 14, and
3?
3. Yeah, I was trying to find the dollar amount. There we go. It was $350,000 in year 1, $850 in year 2, and $200,000 in year 3. So I overstated the number earlier with the 2.3. It's 1.4 million in new payroll that they're going to create, and that they would then get the grant back against that new payroll. The second program that, or the second agreement that is covered by the letter is a community reinvestment area agreement. For council members that have been here longer, we just did one last year for Little Real Estate. BWXT has a CRA agreement, Topcraft has a CRA agreement. Those are some of the other businesses here in town. Under a CRA agreement, that is an abatement of a portion of the property taxes on the property for a portion of time. You can do under state law and under your local ordinance, you can do up to 100% for 15 years in terms of an abatement, and it is only on the new tax that would be created. So all of the existing tax on the property still continues to get paid, but as they come in, they do those additions, they build new buildings there, the new tax, a portion of that's abated. Well, we can do up to 15 years at 100%. We offered the company 10 years at 75%. And so that is percentage-wise at the threshold and years-wise below the threshold that requires us to go to get Barberton Board of Education approval. And so we gave them a notice, but the only folks who have to actually approve that agreement Unlike the little agreement, which had, I think it was 100%, you all are the only ones who have to approve that agreement. The city does not, or the school district does not have to approve that agreement. And so, but those are the two agreements that are subject to the letter. We've had pretty good conversations with the business. I think they're gonna start relatively quickly, provided, we're able to get the agreements done, they move in, and they should be bringing life back to that part of the city. Yes.
Shocker, I know. Looking at just the grant program though, we kind of talked, I guess, 2 weeks ago in council. The criteria for that starts at a minimum of 10 jobs, and in year 1, they're only creating 6. So we really wouldn't look at that program till year 2.
So I am not incredibly familiar with that program. This is my first time I've ever done any
It's
work
never
on it.
been utilized in the city,
Yeah.
so nobody is.
Correct,
So
yeah.
you're fine.
So, but yeah, I mean, we've got to live with whatever the criteria of the program is, so, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, they've got to create the minimum number of jobs, bring in the minimum number of payroll, because I think there's a minimum threshold on the payroll too of 250.
They
That's
meet the,
correct.
In
they
order
meet
to
the
bill.
payroll, but not the bodies.
Right.
What was that?
They meet the payroll conditions, but
But
not
not the
the
bodies.
number of
Right.
bodies, yeah.
Yep.
I do have a couple of questions. So, in all of the paperwork we have here, they're talking about $4 million in improvements. 2 things, can you count, well, is that like a property taxable thing when you're talking about machinery and equipment over capital improvements?
So there is a story, and I'll give you the truncated version of the story, but Ohio used to charge a tax both on real estate and on personal property as well. When they stopped doing the personal property tax, which was I think in the mid-2000s, or at least started phasing it out, the forms that everybody in the state uses, because the state prescribes them for both the application and the agreement, they've never changed those forms. So the businesses still report both, here's the improvements we're gonna make on the real estate side, as well as here are the improvements we're gonna make on machinery and equipment. There is no tax on the machinery and equipment anymore, anywhere in Ohio for any business. And so when we worry about calculating the tax savings and what taxes are gonna apply, it's only on the real estate tax. So it is within the their agreement, it would be the
1.3.
900,000 and the 450,000.
Right. So it's gonna be on 1.3 million.
That is
That's
what
roughly
their
what it
spend
comes
is gonna
together.
be. When we calculate the actual tax, we reduce that a little bit because you don't really get a dollar for dollar.
That was my next thing,
When
it's
you
not gonna be
spend.
dollar for dollar. It-
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think on this one, when I ran the numbers, for the mayor, the, new construction, or the new construction, the 900,000, that one you would typically value at 85 to 90% of what you spend. And then the improvements to the existing buildings, you typically only do 50% of what that spend is.
Okay,
So I think when we calculated the anticipated tax and then the corresponding savings, we would have reduced the numbers to that effect,
excellent,
so.
thank
Yep.
you.
Is that how you got that 45,000 that was in the initial bid?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, the taxes that the city currently gets and the schools currently gets are not going anywhere. Like, we're still going to get 100% of those taxes.
Correct,
This CRA is only on 75% of the improved value,
correct.
well, and not dollar for dollar either, but.
Right, exactly, yep,
But yeah, so it's not, nobody's going to miss out on money that
correct.
we're not already getting.
No, as a matter of fact, because you're only abating 75%, you get
You'll get
more money than
25%.
what you currently receive.
We will receive 25%
Correct.
of that.
Yep.
One of the follow-up questions I had, and first of all, thank you very much for all of your responses to me. KCA Real Estate LLC purchased it, so are like both the owner of the property and operator both have to follow the agreement, or how does
Yep.
that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so They applied under Straighten Lumber Company, and so when we looked and saw that they had purchased it under KCA, what we'll do is the agreement that they will sign will bind both of their entities.
Okay.
Clinton Aluminum, for example, over in Norton is set up that way. There's a couple in Norton that we've set up that way, where the owner of the real estate and the operator of the business are they're technically two separate legal entities, but we bind both of them to the terms of the agreement. Which I wish they would have told me to begin with, because the form I used to draft that was one where we actually had two separate entities, so, but you can do it either way.
Okay. And everything still applies even though it's already been purchased? I mean, that's okay that it was purchased before this was all agreed upon?
Yep. Yeah, under the CRA law, the only thing they're not allowed to do, and I think we talked about this with the little one, is you have to approve the CRA and sign the agreement before they actually begin any of the construction work. There was, it was in Jackson Township when ComDoc moved down there, out of Green a few years ago, that they had actually begun the work before they did the CRA agreement, and that was a big problem for them.
Okay.
I lost what I was gonna say. I forgot what I was gonna ask you.
All good.
I'll buy you some time. Okay. So, the next part of your email, you just kind of talked about, you're kind of working on getting things caught up and under a new process and stuff, so this is. maybe
Yeah,
a bit
you want me to
more-
run through that real quick? I'll do it very quick.
He does a great job explaining, so I think we should let him, okay, thank you.
All right, so, has everybody seen the email?
I did forward
Okay.
it on to council, I don't know if everybody had.
All right, so just so that most folks would actually have a base of what was in there. So, the questions were generally directed at what happens if they don't meet the terms of the agreement? What happens if they move? What happens if they don't hire the same number of employees? Who watches after that? What's our recourse if that happens? So there is a process that's in state law for both CRAs and TIFs, and it's called a Tax Incentive Review Council. Tax Incentive Review Council meets every summer. I think they have to meet essentially by Labor Day. And they review both the CRAs and the TIFs. The TIFs, they don't make recommendations to the city council as to what to do with it. So the statute says they have to review them, but it doesn't say they have to make a recommendation as to whether to continue them or not. We tend to, other than a handful of exceptions on development projects, we really only do TIFs when it has benefited the city, so we don't really need them to review most of those anyways. On the CRA side, however, they will review each one of the CRAs. They will make a recommendation then whether to continue the CRA because they are in compliance, whether to terminate it because they're not in compliance, whether to continue it unchanged even though they're not in compliance, or to modify it because they're not in compliance. I don't think I'm saying anything that hasn't been discussed at a public meeting, but an example of that would be KDA over in Norton. You know, they built the building before the pandemic. They built the building before, a few years before that. They did a CRA, I think, in 2015. They ended up going out of business during the pandemic. They bring in a tenant who's in there for a period of time. That tenant then leaves. They then bring in another tenant who is still there now. And so there have been multiple times when the Turk has had to review that CRA agreement and say, do we continue this or not? They make a recommendation to council, and then council has to make a decision whether to continue it or not. Ultimately, because I think most of what was going on was beyond their control, they ultimately decided to continue the agreement in place, which I will tell you is most of the time what happens. Now, if a business takes the incentive and leaves in the middle of it, you obviously are gonna terminate that agreement. But that process with the Tax Incentive Review Council is kind of that mechanism that the councilwoman was asking me about. Around that then, there's also two other things that need to be put in place. The one is by the end of March, we have to file an annual report on all of the CRAs and all of the TIFs that are in existence within the city. So the amount of jobs that have been created, the amount of value that has been exempted, the amount of value that hasn't been exempted, et cetera. We file those with the Department of Development. And then there's also a housing council, and I'm not the one who made all the steps, the state did it. But there's a housing council that has to meet before the end of March and review all the CRAs as well. And they don't actually have to approve anything. But in the communities where we do this, we have them approve those filings that go down to the state. So chronologically, within the next 2 months, we have to have the housing council meet and approve those. We also then have to get the reports into the state by the end of March. Turk will meet then sometime before Labor Day. They'll make recommendations to you all on your CRAs, and you then have to adopt those within 60 days after the Turk makes the recommendations. This is not uncommon, but when your planning director became the planning director, we had the conversation about who's doing that, like who has done that for the city. And I think the answer is that under the last few planning directors, that stuff just hasn't been being done. I will tell you that just myself alone, you're one of 3 communities that we're working to get into compliance. I've had other communities that we've got into compliance. The reality is the penalty is that the state can withhold $500 of local government funding for not doing it. So it's not a particularly big issue if you're not doing it, but we certainly don't, if the auditors start paying attention and start dinging communities for it, we want to make sure we're trying to get into compliance with that. So we're going to work with the planning staff to make sure that we get all of that stuff put in place. And part of the reason I took the extra time to walk through all that is you all, for the Turk, will be getting legislation to appoint, the mayor will appoint 2 people, and you all have to confirm those 2 for the Turk. For the housing council, the mayor appoints 2 directly, and you all appoint 2 directly. So we'll be working with you guys over the next month or so here to get that legislation in, to get those appointments filled so that they can actually meet here in 2026. So hopefully going into that length of detail now saves us having to do it here when we get those introduced to you guys.
So after hearing you explain that, I might not have understood the depth of not fully followed this process in the past. So do we have to go backwards and like turn in old years to get?
You guys
one?
won't, but we'll do the reports for going back. Yeah, I mean, the good news is you guys had, there was I think it was a TIF or a CRA with McDonald's that predates, I think, anybody here. When that was put in place, the BWXT one was put in like 16, 17, maybe 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. And the Topcraft one, I don't have visibility in terms of when that was put in place. Everything else we're talking about has been in the last few years. So there's not a lot of reporting to do. For example, like the little one that just got passed, it probably takes 5 minutes to do that report because it's under construction. The W construction one up on Norton, I think we only have 1 year, maybe even 0, where that's spun off any TIF revenue. So the reporting isn't onerous and we can get caught up, but it's a process to do it. What we're gonna focus on is getting in compliance this year, and then we can file those reports for the prior years in like April and May,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Did you think of your question?
It already was. We
Okay.
covered it.
So after we get those people appointed this year and we get caught up in everything, do we need to come up with something to prevent this and like have reporting to the council, or will that get taken care of?
Yeah, so the Turk report annually comes to council. So theoretically, you would, if you don't have that in any given year, you can say, hey, what's going on here?
Okay.
Because you're not gonna have those appointments every year. The Turk appointments, they're not defined by statute in terms of the length of the term. They could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. The CRA Housing Council are 3 years. So you're not gonna necessarily see everything every year, but that Turk legislation should come in the fall every year.
Okay. From a legal standpoint, is the city allowed to use, like, I know we use you and you're kind of like an outside person, but like, could we use like our BCDC to do the administration on this, to be tracking and doing all that?
You could, theoretically, I mean,
Cause if it's
I don't wanna
falling
s-
because of the turnover of planning directors,
Yeah.
that would put it in a more stable place.
yeah, I mean, I don't wanna speak for your planning director, cause she's not here, but I kind of view this as like, we're gonna help get it set up and say, like, here's how it's done. And then ongoing, I wouldn't anticipate that we'd be doing it every year. I would anticipate we might kind of advise and check and make sure everything's right, but beyond that, I would expect that the planning staff would do that. There's another community up in Cuyahoga County where same thing, they've got a planning department, they've never done it, we're gonna help them get caught up to it, but then somebody needs to do it. And it really doesn't need to be Stacy that does it, cause once you know how to look at the tax card and pull the information off, and go to the company and ask them for how many jobs, and how many people are they employing, what's their total payroll, it's something that, somebody below the planning director could do every year. But I'll kind of leave that up to her and the planning commission to figure out how that works.
Double checking, I was trying to write my notes after I reviewed them.
So, I have a question too. Since, it's February 1st, are we in danger of maybe missing our March mark for this year, or?
No, because the reports can be turned in, like, even if you guys said, hey, we're not gonna do the housing review council in time, which is really the Turk doesn't have to meet until the summer. The reports can be filed with the state by the end of March, regardless of whether the housing council meets or not. So those don't have to be approved by council, they're administratively filed, so I'm not concerned about being able to get the reports done. Now, if we get into it and can't find records from the BWXT-CRA, and we might push up against that deadline, but I don't have any concern about that.
It sounds like that we'll have a lot for this time at least, because we're gonna be
Yeah.
looking back farther than just.
Yeah, and all I'm really concerned about by the end of March is just getting this year's done. So,
Okay,
yeah.
got it, okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Dodson?
Can you talk about the money to the schools? Are they still whole in this or what?
So the existing tax that gets paid on the property, they are 100% whole on that. For the new tax that's created, they'll get 25% of what they otherwise would have gotten, and then 75% of that will be abated. And that same thing for the school, the county entities, and the city. So they're not hurt at all, and it falls under the concept, at least, the way I view it, everybody continues to get what they're getting, they pick up a little bit and they give, but they give for the long-term investment in the property, both on the property and also just the stabilization of people investing in property instead of it sitting vacant for however much longer that it'll sit.
Okay, thank you.
That's about $7,000 a year. So 25%, $7,000 additional.
Do you know how long that property's been vacant?
I personally, it's been vacant as long as I've known it's been there, but I would only tell you that's 2-3 years since we were really poking around. I will tell you that there's another business in Barberton that was looking at the property, more towards the beginning of last year. They ended up not doing anything with it. But that would have been an expansion of an existing business, and that, never went forward,
Okay,
so.
anyone else? Alrighty, thank you so much.
Yep.
for all that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, I think we are ready to call this, for a motion. I don't think I'm gonna put this on the consent agenda. I'll
Are
call
you
for it
gonna
to.
amend it so it's just one, to take that, the Barberton Works out?
I don't see why we should.
They don't qualify.
The second year they will. they'll do 14 jobs in the second year.
Okay.
What, I forgot to mention that last time when we talked about this. For some reason, I thought they were keeping a running total, and they were only doing 8. I was wrong. They are gonna do 10 jobs in the second year, not the first. So,
So we would approve it now?
I mean, I don't see why not. You know, if they don't do it, they don't get it, right? So it's really, the onus is on them
Okay.
to actually do that,
That's the way I see it.
you know?
Okay.
They either do it or they don't,
Mhm.
you know, so.
It's just a matter of holding them accountable for it.
Indeed, and
That's all.
I do think that we have parameters there that, you know, if they don't create those 10 jobs, they don't get it. So, you know, we haven't misstepped in any way by saying that is something you can have if you pull it off.
Yeah.
Because the Barberton works, they pay, and then it's reviewed, and then they get it refunded.
Yes. Yeah,
That makes sense to me.
I don't see any reason that we shouldn't try this at least once in the 12 years that it's
I know.
been alive,
We,
so.
I thought we were also considering what if we just redid the program, so that's why I was confused. And if it didn't qualify for another year, it gave us time to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think we can do both, right?
I don't see why we couldn't.
Just understanding that we have commitments on the program. There's
Yeah.
only one commitment, but it should be easy to
Yeah.
track.
Yeah, I don't see why we can't test this out. You know, we've got a taker at this point, so see what it can do.
Give her a go.
Emily,
Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. Beck, I make a motion to put this on the consent agenda.
I don't think I want to put this on the consent agenda. I'd rather have this outside of it.
On 3 reading?
Yeah.
Okay. I just gotta know what to mark.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think this is a big decision. I think that, you know, we may go home and sleep on it and come up with well, hang on a minute. You know, so I wanna give this the respect that it deserves. You know, so I think that we should probably really, even though we are sure today, I think we should give ourselves a few sleeps on this. So, yeah. So I would like to call this for a motion to vote rather than consent.
So like
Well-
motion to call it out of your committee?
Yeah.
We are your committee, so
Go for it.
I'm not sure what you want us to do now.
And not putting it on a consent agenda, I just wanna vote to call this out of committee so it can go into
You just need a
legislature.
motion to call it out of committee.
Yeah, we're just calling out of committee, not on consent.
Okay, let's make a motion to call it out.
Alrighty, so Julie makes the motion, or Ms. Miller,
I second the
and
motion.
you second, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Alright, so our second order of business this evening, we have an appointment to the Barberton City Planning Commission, Macy Davenport. It's Macy, not Marcy.
Okay, I couldn't read the thing, the application.
Macy Davenport, just get rid of that R, for an unexpired term ending 12/31/2027. Has everyone had a chance to check that out? Any questions about any of those things?
Oh, me.
You had your hand up.
I didn't know if Mom did. Does the planning commission get to review that application?
Yes, they don't make the recommendation, but they
They get to see it.
got to see yes. And the person that made the decision isn't here,
It's on the
so.
mayor, the mayor nominates,
Right.
you guys decide. We've looked at it, but we have no input.
Indeed. So, may I have a motion to call that out of the agenda?
Make a motion to call that out of the agenda.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then pending legislation, we have several. Title, amend Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060, Refuse Collection and Disposal Section 1060.2 B1A, Method of Collection. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060, Refuse Collection and Disposal to reflect a change in wording for Section 1060.02, good lord, B1A, allowable weekly pickups and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 14-2026, title amend Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060.08, residential payment fees. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060, refuse collection and disposal to reflect a change in wording for Section 1060.02 B1A, allowable weekly, wait, isn't this a mistake? It's not here twice.
Well, one
Nope,
says fee.
one
Okay.
is the title,
Oh,
one
what is
is
fees on the title? Okay, sorry. Allowable weekly pickups and declaring an emergency. And then we have a first reading of ordinance and resolutions. Ordinance 8-2026, adoption of new development code and ordinance adopting this new City of Barberton Development Code and declaring an emergency. So, I'll open it up to miscellaneous discussion from my committee. Is there anything, and Melissa, go right ahead.
Do you guys have the community entertainment district legislation for vote tonight?
It's in rules.
It's in.
It's in rules?
Yeah.
Okay, you're calling it out to vote today? Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else?
I think that if we don't actually go ahead with trash, we're going to be very sad.
Be upset.
Mr. Moore, did you have any thoughts on the development code or questions at this time?
I do, but the planning director's not here to ask that question.
Yeah, she's off sick.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Mr. Best.
Oh, Mr. Best is here, okay, that's fair,
Or
that's fair.
Lisa, or Bebe.
Yeah.
We got
That's fair, okay, yeah,
Yes.
so,
And there's
Go
the
right
one
ahead.
that's proofread
Okay.
it
Mr. Moore?
100
I'll
times.
do my best.
yeah, so, living in East New Haven, and the turnover issues that we had last year, I reviewed through it, and there was anything, like, coding out, like, what the developers needed to do to have turnover, unless I wasn't understanding explicitly, like, what, or how it was, like, worded out, or, I don't know, can you explain if that
Sure.
should be in there, or,
No.
okay.
So the development code is just to say, here's what's required. So if you're gonna put in an allotment, this is what's required. That's the point, that's the only point of the development code. In terms of when things need to be done, those are contractual.
Okay,
And so that would be separate. What the development code would say is you have to have these many lights, this curb, this type of, I don't know off the top of my head, all these things. Road has to be so wide, there has to be this much setback, all of that. As to when the developer's timetables to do those things, that's the contract.
okay, understood, thank you,
Is that it?
that's all I, yeah.
You nailed it.
Excellent job.
Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we are adjourned at, oh boy, 6:45.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. City Properties, Parks, and Recreation, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll call the City Properties, Parks, and Recreation Committee to order February 2nd at 6:43 PM in council chambers. I am present as the chairman. Ms. Gerhart is present as co-chair, and Mr. Foreman is present as well on the committee. All other council members present, and everyone else on the sheet. We have no legislation requested at this time, and there's no pending legislation as well. Any miscellaneous discussion by committee members? Council? Body? Cool. Seeing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, and we are adjourned at 6:44.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Public Welfare and Safety, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me. I'd like to bring the Public Welfare and Safety and Public Relations Committee to order. It's February 2nd, council chambers. I'm here as chair, Mr. Moore is co-chair, Ms. Gerhart. All other guests are noted on my sheet along with other council members. And we have no request for legislation, no pending. And do we have any miscellaneous for my committee? Other council members? Gallery? Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
We adjourned at 6:44.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Rules, Marketing, and Development, Ms. Gearhart.
Thank you, President Griffin. At this time, I'd like to bring the Rules, Marketing, Technology, and Development Committee to order. It is Monday, February 2nd, 6:44 p.m. here in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mrs. Beck as co-chair, and Mrs. Hager, other council members, and others as noted on my sheet. We have a couple requests for legislation this evening. A letter from Mrs. Miller, Law Director, requesting legislation to rescind Ordinance 187-2025 due to the ordinance needing to be completed properly to submit to the Board of Elections. Emergency wording and one reading is requested. Before we can talk about this, though, I need to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend, Council Rule 302, the 10-day rule, Council Rule 304, not on the agenda rule, and 401, not called for at the Committee of the Whole. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I will second that.
Thank you. All those in favor of invoking this?
Aye.
Thank you. And then can I have a motion to call it out of committee? Or is that what we want to talk about first? I'm sorry.
I think we.
Additionally, it'll need to be put on the consent agenda, if you're choosing to, we just need to get it, it has to be passed today.
Yeah, that's coming up next.
Okay,
I had to do those rules first.
okay, just
According
wanna
to
make
Mr.
sure
Hyde.
that we don't mess this up one more time.
Stay up
I'll
there.
take it,
Stay up there. Does
Okay.
anybody
Yeah.
have a question for Mrs. Miller about why we're doing this?
Do you want to give us a quick rundown of why, just so we all understand we're doing this another time?
because the legislation that went before you, the last time was rejected by the Board of Elections. They gave us the corrections. Rutzel and Jason helped us with that a little bit. This is the exact way it needs to be, and we have to get it to the Board of Elections in a certain time so it can go on the ballot. So that is what, I'm owning it. We just made a mistake again. The Board of Elections and I have some sort of weird relationship, I don't know.
They don't like anybody anyways.
I don't think they particularly care for me, but, not in a bad way, they're great people, but every time, oh my goodness, they're probably like, oh, it's Lisa again, sorry.
Any other questions or? So I would like to motion this out of my committee and onto the consent agenda. Can I have a second for that?
I'll make that motion.
Or you'll second my motion?
Sorry, yes, second.
Yes, okay.
Excuse me.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that made it onto the consent agenda. Don't go anywhere, Mrs. Miller, you're still. Second thing on my list is a letter from Mrs. Miller, Law Director, requesting legislation allowing the Summit County Board of Elections to submit to the electors of the city of Barberton the question of whether the sale of beer and intoxicating liquors shall be permitted on all days of the week, including Sunday, within the boundaries of the downtown Barberton Community Entertainment District. One wording and emergency wording requested when reading. And again, I need to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend, Council Rule 302, the 10-day rule, Council Rule 304, not on the agenda, and 401, not called for at the Committee of the Whole.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager.
And I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of invoking that 702?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any questions or comments or anything from Mrs. Miller on this? Seeing none, I would like to call this out of my committee and put it onto the consent agenda. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second.
A tie. I think I heard Emily, Mrs. Beck first. Thank you. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That made it on consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I thought you were asking.
And then our pending legislation, Mrs. Beck just discussed, was the adoption of the development code. Did anybody think of any questions since we were in the committee a few minutes ago? Any miscellaneous discussion from the gallery? Seeing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you. We're adjourned at 6:49 PM.
Thank you, Ms. Gerhart. City Utilities, Mr. Stoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call the City Utilities Committee to order. The date is February 2nd. We are in council chambers and it is 6:50 PM. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mrs. Hager as co-chair, and Mrs. Miller. Other members of council are here, as well as guests as noted on my sheet. We have no legislation to call for tonight. We do have pending legislation, ordinance number 9-2026, titled Enter into Contract Kimball Recycling and Disposal, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a 5-year contract with Kimball Recycling and Disposal, Inc., the lowest and/or best bidder to provide the weekly residential curbside garbage recycling collection for the city of Barberton effective March 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. We also have ordinance number 11-2026, 2026 bids and contracts, years requirement for materials and services, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids and/or enter into contracts in 2026, covering the year's requirements for materials and services used in the ordinary and daily operation of the municipal departments in the city of Barberton and declaring an emergency. Do I have any remarks from my committee? Any remarks from the body? The gallery? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll talk about it.
Mr. Moore?
Law Director Miller, do you have an update on First Energy?
Yes, so, I'm so glad you're here. So, you know, it's his favorite thing about us joining amicus briefs or any of those other things, and this is a slightly different. So, the Ohio Consumers Commission, OCC, is filing objections to First Energy's reduction of reliability rates. So, Mayor Judge and the Mayor of Lakewood somehow got together and decided, you know, subject to, you know, we would join OCC in those objections, and we have. So it involves I've been practicing law for 35 years, I think, and I have never practiced before in the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. It's a very different type of administrative agency. I don't really understand a lot of the math of it because all these reliability rates are mathematical equations. But basically, it's my understanding that there was a prior, I'm gonna call it a case. I don't exactly know if that's what they call it. There's a prior case with First Energy. Under that rule or ruling, they had to come back. So that's how they got in front of PUCO again. So it wasn't like a new thing, it was a follow-up, so to speak, on another issue. Well, that gave the opportunity for the Ohio Consumers Commission, for OCC, to say, hey, wait, we don't want these rates to change. In fact, we want them more robust. And so we filed answers, we did these things. Now we're in the point where we're in negotiations and trying to come to some sort of compromise. That's all confidential, but I can just tell you that the OCC is just very, very concerned, they're just very, very good. They really understand this. Obviously, this is what they do. I'm very impressed with their work. We're just kind of riding their coattails and just saying, you know, yes, us, me too. Although it would apply, obviously, to everyone. We're just a part of it. It's just very fascinating. It's absolutely nothing I've ever done before, reading these documents and trying to understand. But they are urging the reliability standards to be increased, not decreased, you know, or at the very minimum, I suppose. I don't know this, but to stay the same, right? They also are, I wish I could tell you some of the proposals that are out there. They're very, I'm impressed. I just think they're doing a great job, and we're just standing there going, yes, us too, right? So it's exciting, never been there before, learning some stuff, so thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I am a little confused because it wants it on the consent agenda.
I'm sorry, what?
It wants it on the consent agenda, so we still have trash.
What are we talking about? The two pieces of pending legislation?
Yes.
They're already pending.
It's pending.
We've already somehow.
Okay,
He's just adjourned.
so we don't have to do that.
No.
Okay. Sorry, I did not see that. Okay,
Okay, no worries.
second.
All right, then we are adjourned at 6:55.
Thank you, Mr. Stoll. Last but not least, Finance and Personnel, Mr. Foreman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to call to order the Finance and Personnel meeting to order Monday, February 2nd at 6:56 p.m. In council chambers, myself as chair, Chris Stoll as co-chair, and Monty Harris. All council members present and those also noted. We have a request for legislation, a letter from the Barberton Fire Chief, David Polak, requesting legislation approving the payment of $24,260 to the Summit County Fiscal Office for the first half of the 2026 radio access fee. Emergency wording requested. This was, they said, the request was due to the PO being dated after the invoice date, and so it was out of December's year, so, but they could not open a PO, so that's why this emergency wording. Any questions, or? So I'm just going to move this to the consent agenda.
Second?
Okay.
You have to make a motion to.
Okay, I'm making a motion then.
I'm
Then
seconding.
You're seconding, okay. And,
Vote.
vote?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. And then we have a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to apply for a grant to the Barberton Community Foundation in the amount of $75,000 to be used to assist in the payment of the citywide master plan, emergency wording, and request one reading requested. Any questions or?
It's a good thing.
Okay, so I'm going to put this on the cassette agenda. I'm making a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. And those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then we have the letter from Bill Judge requesting legislation allowing for up to 10% of the business incentive fund, fund balance to be used each year for economic development purposes, including but not limited to the projects like the WAVE funding and the programs like the Main Street, for example. Since the mayor's not here and we do have quite a bit of questions, thank you for Rebecca Gerhardt for that email that you sent out for the mayor. I'm not gonna bring up any further until we can discuss this, so I will put this on hold until our next meeting, and then we can thoroughly discuss this even more.
I think that's wise.
So,
Thank you.
thank you. I don't need, what, any motion or anything, just
Nope,
do
just
that?
hold it.
Okay. So I'm putting a hold on that. Then we have pending legislation, ordinance 7-2025, title authorizing payment, Summit County Prosecutor's Office, and ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to pay the invoice to the Summit County Prosecutor's Office in the amount of $16,320 for the use of the Matrix software for the year 2025 and declaring emergency. Is there, I have no other pending legislation. Is there any other discussion from the committee? From council? Or the gallery? Hearing none, do I have an emotion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We adjourn at 7:01. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Foreman. We will take a 10-minute break before. Back on? Okay.
We're live.
Okay, this is a regular legislative meeting of the Barberton City Council this Monday, February 2nd, 2026. The time is 7:15. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by Mrs. Miller. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please send your love down on our community of Barberton, our council, and our other leaders. We need to have more love in our community. We have a lot, but we need some more. And I would like to thank you for the blessings you have given us and for the fabulous job that our street department does for us in Barberton. Amen.
Amen. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Hager,
Here.
Mrs. Beck,
Here.
Mr. Stoll,
Here.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mrs. Gerhart,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here,
Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Poorman,
Here.
Mr. Griffin.
Here. Approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, January 12th as presented. It was moved by Mr. Stoll and seconded by Mrs. Miller to approve.
Let them do it first, and then you do it. They have to move in second.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Mr. Stoll?
Yeah, so I still have like some, I think typos on my copy.
Yeah, they've been corrected on the signed copies. I couldn't see.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mhm.
I move for the approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, January 12th, as amended.
I second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Are there any remarks? All in favor? Aye, opposed. Minutes are adopted. Approval of the minutes of the executive session held on Monday, January 19th, 2026 as presented. Mr. Stoll.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move for the approval of the minutes of the executive session held on Monday, January 19th, as presented.
Mrs. Miller?
I second that.
Are there any remarks? All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are adopted. Acceptance of the Finance Department report for the month of December 2025 as presented. It was moved by Mr. Pullman.
Nope, that
Nope,
didn't move.
Mr. Pullman,
Oh, so do you want me to make the motion to?
make a motion.
Okay, I make the
Ahead
motion
of myself.
to accept of
Mhm.
the Finance Department report for the month of December 2025 as presented.
Mr. Stoll.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any remarks? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. The finance report for the month of December 2025 is adopted. Petitions and claims.
We have none.
Matters requested.
They have all been dispersed.
Citizens addressed in council.
I didn't see any of them.
Did I see anything? Good. Consent agenda, ordinance, and resolutions.
All right. Ordinance number 7-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman, title, authorized payment, Summit County Prosecutor's Office. An ordinance also authorizing the Director of Finance to pay an invoice to the Summit County Prosecutor's Office in the amount of $16,320 for the use of the Matrix software for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 9, number 8 was withdrawn tonight in committee. No, number 12 was. Number 8 is on the, we're doing 3 readings on number 8. Number 9, presented by Mr. Stoll, title, enter into contract Kimball Recycling and Disposal Incorporated. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a 5-year contract with Kimball Recycling and Disposal Incorporated, the lowest and/or best bidder, to provide the weekly residential curbside garbage recycling collection for the city of Barberton effective March 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 10-2026, presented by Mrs. Hager, titled 2026 Street Road Salt Program. An ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contract with Cargill Incorporated for the 2026 Street Road Salt Program through the Community University Educational Regional Purchasing Council of the Governments, QCOG, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 11-2026, presented by Mr. Stoll and Mrs. Hager, title 2026 Bids and Contract. Bids and contracts for this year's requirements for materials and services. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to advertise for bids and/or enter into contracts in 2026 covering the year's requirements for materials and services used in the ordinary and daily operation of the municipal departments in the city of Barberton and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 12-2026 was withdrawn this evening at the committee on the floor. Ordinance number 13-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck, title, Amend Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060, Refuse Collection and Disposal, Section 1060.02B1A, Method of Collection. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1060, Refuse Collection and Disposal, to reflect a change in wording for Section 1060.02B1A, allowable weekly pickups, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 14-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck, title, Amend Barberton Codified Ordinance, Chapter 1060.08, Residential Payment Fees. An ordinance amending Barberton Codified Ordinances, Chapter 1060, Refuse Collection and Disposal, to reflect a change in wording for Section 1060.02B1A, allowable weekly pickups, and declaring an emergency. We are adding tonight through the Rules Committee 2 ordinances. The rules were suspended in the committee on the floor this evening as they were not on the original agenda. The 10-day rule was suspended as well. Ordinance number 15-2026, rescind ordinance number 187-2025, Sunday alcohol sales, Community Entertainment District. An ordinance rescinding ordinance number 187-2025, amend ordinance number, which amended ordinance number 86-2025, Sunday alcohol sales, Community Entertainment District, and declaring an emergency. We also added ordinance number 16-2026. Again, tonight the rules were waived in committee as it was not on the original ordinance, and the 10-day rule was also suspended. Title, Board of Elections, Sunday Liquor Permission Ballot Issue, Barberton Community Entertainment District. An ordinance requesting that the Summit County Board of Elections submit to the electors of the city of Barberton the question of whether the sale of beer and intoxicating liquors shall be permitted on all days of the week, including Sunday, within the boundaries of the downtown Barberton Community Entertainment District, a community facility as defined by section 4301.01 of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency. This ends the consent agenda.
Motion to suspend, Ms. Gerhart.
I would like to make a motion to suspend. I'm sorry. I move that the rules required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Mr. Stoll?
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Poorman,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Stoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
Motion to adopt, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of all of the consent agenda items that were just read.
Mr. Stoll?
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to adopt the ordinances listed on the consent agenda. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Beck,
Yes.
Mr. Stoll,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Poorman.
Yes.
First reading of ordinance and resolutions.
Ordinance number 8-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck. Title, Adoption of New Development Code. An ordinance adopting the new City of Barberton Development Code and declaring an emergency. This is the first reading. The second reading will be on February 9th, 2026, and the third reading will be on February 23rd, 2026. This ends the first reading.
Second reading of ordinance and resolutions.
There are none.
Third readings of ordinance and resolutions.
There are none.
Appointments,
There are none.
miscellaneous and unfinished business. Anything? Communications from the body? Yes, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. I loved having our committee agendas on Thursday. Is there any way that that could happen?
If Mrs. Miller, if I get the stuff in time, the problem being we have a cutoff date. That would be our cutoffs are the Friday after committee of the whole. I am more than happy to get them ready and get them to you guys. The reason I sent it out was because I knew what was gonna happen. I wanted to
Oh, I
make
know.
sure you guys could go forward.
It just made it easier to have more days to
And you get to
it
review
versus a
and
Monday morning when we have to
figure
be
your
prepared that
questions out.
night.
I used to get them out the Friday before. And we had a meeting in the law department, and all the years previous, you didn't know what was there until you walked in and you saw them in front of you.
Gotcha.
I was like, so I scanned them and sent them out that morning, trying to give you a little heads up.
Yeah.
If you guys can talk and tell, and if she says that's okay, my only problem is like on the cutoff Fridays, cause they have till 4:30, but I'll do my best.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, it just struck me.
You know,
tonight.
yeah,
I felt
no.
more prepared for council.
As far back as even just Renee was with the clerk before me, they weren't given out till they walked in and you guys sat down and they were sitting there waiting for you. But remember, that was a pre-COVID council. That was, committees met in all separate rooms. You could have two committees meeting at the same time, but one may be in the jury room and one may be over here and one may be over there. So it's all kind of different. If you guys want that, I will do my best.
Did anybody else like it, or was it just me?
Oh, I loved
No,
it.
I loved it.
Yeah, I liked
I
it.
loved it.
Definitely gives you more time to research stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we do get our legislation requests well before we see it on our,
That was the
Agenda.
argument they gave me, that you
But-
guys have the request. Sometimes you don't. I'll get the request, it goes to me and then it goes to Hannah. If I see on the email that Hannah wasn't copied, I'm sending it up to her. If she sees I'm not copied on it, she sends it down to me. We work really close together. Like, she types up so much, it comes to me and then I fit it in where it belongs. It's like we work hand in hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can, I'll try.
Okay.
I can't do more than try, but I really will try.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gerhart. With nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Mr. Stoll?
I, move
The comments, the mayor's not here, so.
yes.
And he left nothing to
He
read.
left nothing to say, so with nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you. It was moved by Mr. Stoll and second by Mrs. Miller that we adjourn. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. This regular legislative meeting is adjourned at 7:30 PM.
Thank you, that made me feel better.
Okay, we will now go right into a regular scheduled committee of the whole, unless somebody needs time off. No? Let's go. Okay, tonight is February 2nd. This is a committee of the whole night for the Barberton City Council. Before we start our normal meeting, first we will have all our committee meetings for this evening. Reports, committee reports. Starting off with Mrs. Hager.
Oh, you were just, hold on. I forgot all about that myself. Who are you now? You're Streets now. There you go.
I only gave you one sheet. so
Oh,
not
that's mine,
mine.
okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. Street sidewalk and lighting met this evening in council chambers, all members of my committee were present. We had pending legislation which was voted on tonight for the street road salt program, and the 2026 bids and contracts, and the GPD group legislation was withdrawn due to the contract actually going through the end of this year. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Hager. Mrs. Beck, Planning, Annexation, and Codes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, annexation, and codes met this evening in council chambers. We had one piece of legislation, a letter from Mayor William Judge requesting legislation to authorize him to enter into a CRA agreement and Barberton Work Grant Agreement with Straight and Lamb Lumber Company. And then we also had an appointment of Macy Davenport for an unexpired term for the Barberton Community, Barberton City Planning Commission. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. Chris Stoll, City Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City Utilities Committee met tonight, February 2nd at 6:50 PM. We have no request for legislation at this time. We discussed pending legislation, ordinance number 9-2026 and ordinance number 11-2026, both of which were passed on the consent agenda. And with that, I pass.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stoll. Mr. Harris, Welfare and Safety.
Public welfare and safety and public relations met this evening here in council chambers, and we have nothing to report.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Miss Gearhart,
Thank you, Mr. President.
Rules, Marketing, and Development.
Rules, marketing, technology, and development.
Yeah,
Has nothing
technology.
to report this evening, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Miss Gearhart.
You're welcome.
Mrs. Miller, Environmental Health and Social Services.
Environmental Health and Social Services has nothing to report this evening. And with that, I pass.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Dallas Moore and Rebecca Gearhart, City Properties, Parks, and Recreation.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Properties, Parks and Rec met this evening, and we have nothing to report. With that, I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Foreman, Finance and Personnel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance and Personnel met today at 6:56 PM. We had at least three requests for legislation. A letter from Barberton Fire Chief requesting legislation approving the payment of $24,260 to the Summit County Fiscal Office for the first half of the 2026 radio access fee. That was put on the consent agenda. And the second legislation was a letter from Stacy Carr, Planning Director, requesting legislation to apply for a grant to the Barberton Community Foundation in the amount of $75,000 to be used to assist in the payment of the citywide master plan. That was put on the consent agenda. And then we also had legislation, letter from Mayor William Judge requesting legislation to allow for up to 10% of the business incentive fund, a fund balance to be used each year for economic development purposes, including but not limited to projects like the wayfinding and programs like Main Street, for example. This was put on hold. I have no further information, and I pass.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. President report, I do not have anything tonight. Do you have any remarks from the body? Yes, Ms. Gearhart.
I just wanted to say to all of your council members, I think you're doing a great job. You seem like old pros already. No, you do. You're asking questions and you're leading your committees well, and you guys are nailing it. So good job, everybody.
Thank you. And it's only gonna get better.
It is. And you're doing a great job too, Mr. President.
Thank you. I'm trying hard to. The mayor is absent. We are adjourned at 7:36.
Forgot department heads again, shorter.
We didn't
I just
adjourn
wanted to talk for just one
Oh,
second.
okay.
Okay.
We didn't see your hand up.
Well, I stood up. I was gonna say, good body.
I thought you was tired of sitting down.
So I just wanted to touch on the snow, because the snow, was a big thing last weekend. That was the reason why we had to push a meeting this week. So I just wanted to kind of give a few little stats. It's not a ton of stats, but, so man hours, we had 88 straight time hours during the last snow event, 76 time and a half hours, and 197 and 3/4 double time hours. So I mean, double time was Saturday, that's or it's not Saturday, Sunday. Time and a half would have been Saturday leading up to the storm, and then Monday morning before straight time hours started. We used 18.5 loads of salt, which is equal to 166.5 tons. And the plow trucks traveled 3,625 miles, putting down that 166 tons of salt. So I mean, we did have some trucks, that they were out working all of those hours, 361 total hours. Trucks were out, so I mean, we did have some trucks that had some minor issues. Most all of those have been repaired, and we're ready to rock and roll if Mother Nature wants to give us anything else. I also wanted to kind of touch on, I know that there's still a few comments that there is ice pack on the roads. The sun, the temperatures, the reason they don't want to go out and plow that off right now, because it will fluff up, but if they go out and plow that off, everybody that cleaned the driveway, we're gonna now fill your driveway, because we're not putting the snow that's fluffing up in the middle of the road, we're gonna put it on the edge of the road. If we go out and we clean curbs, it's going to go right in the end of your driveway. I mean, we wanna make sure that they're cleaned back to the storm sewers, but just kind of keep that in mind. The snow Mother Nature gave it to us, Mother Nature will take it away. And we will deal with snow as it falls out of the sky if it's necessary. Like we kind of touched on earlier too, water main breaks. The frost right now with the temperatures dipping as low as they have been a problem, so. Any questions? Yes?
It looks like you've been doing some extra maybe sidewalk removal of snow in the downtown.
So they have been, so today and then the last week,
Yeah.
as they were able to get to it, they're trying to get rid of the snow piles so that
Okay.
the cars can park, and that will go on until they get the snow, the excessive snow removed, so.
Okay.
Just expect a few downtown closures.
Yeah, no.
And then we got the
Nice of them to
Alberta
do that.
pepper that's supposed to come through this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll deal with it as we can. Salt will be ordered now that we've passed the ordinance, so we should be starting to get salt delivered in too, so.
Do you get a discount if you buy salt like in July?
Unfortunately, no. So we commit to X amount of tonnage per year, and it's the same price whether you order it in July or you wait until you have to receive it in December, so.
But we don't have any availability issues? Like that was like in Cleveland, right? They have availability.
So what's been reported to us is that they have plenty of salt, they don't have enough employees, so they have an employee shortage. They were offering deliveries, they were trying to offer deliveries in the evenings and weekends, and we're acceptable, or we can allow that because we have a second shift employee there, so they can take, because the big thing is when they deliver the salt, we don't want them to, back up in the gravel bin and dump the salt there. We need to make sure the truck driver knows where he's putting it, if it needs pushed up into the dome. So we do have the ability to take deliveries after hours, which will be beneficial to us when they can bring it to us.
Great, thank you.
Yep. Yes, Monty?
And just to let everybody know, you talked about a second shift employee. There's a second shift employee and a third shift
There
employee.
is, yes.
So there's someone here from Sunday at 3:30 in the afternoon, all night, and they go till Thursday night.
Yep.
Well, they work through Thursday night. So there's coverage there's 24/7.
Yeah.
Except for second shift, and third shift only has one guy.
And what that allows too is, so if PD is out and they see the bridges or something starting to get slick, that one person can go out and hit the spots. They can spot treat. They can't do it the whole city. At that point in time, if it starts coming down or gets worse, they would have to call crews in. Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Gerhart?
Once the crew's done in the downtown, if they have time on their hands and they wanted to tackle, like, I don't know, west, maybe like Booster Road West, that has a lot of snow buildup on the sidewalk, cause we get plowed so much.
We can have a discussion. I'm not gonna commit to anything.
It'd be cool if you gave us all like golf carts with like snow plows and we could
Because
plow it.
downtown, the main concern is the parking.
Now, there's no parking, so you don't need to be concerned,
But,
just people going for their floor pop.
yes,
Do you have a list of like the street closures? Or how they're doing that?
I thought I understood it because I thought we were working from one end to the other, and then they closed the middle of the road, but yeah, they were working at so I can try to, get that, but it's done internally, and it's decided on, where it's needed. I know that originally they were gonna work from, I think it was east to west, and then they decided they wanted the west had less snow, less traffic, they thought they could move quicker going from the other direction. But I can try to get some information on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Nothing else? We'll adjourn for